Michael Davey, can you hear us? Mike Davey, can you hear us? Testing.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
It's good. Are you good?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm disclosing that we have a recording device here for the purpose of taking meeting minutes, and we are live streaming as well. We did have an executive session prior to this meeting where we discussed real estate and legal matters. I'd like to move into the approval of minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting we had on May 6th, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Supervisor Dara Hennessian and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you. I'd also like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular Board of Supervisors meeting on May 13th, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Supervisor Dara Hennessian and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Peter, Treasurer's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to take a look at the report I provided. I'd just like to touch on a couple different points included therein. 1B, the township cash at May 31st, 2025 is up over 1.2 million versus 1 year ago, May 31st, 2024. We currently, in all township-wide accounts, have over 7.3 million. Last year at this time, we had $6,097,032.35. So cash position remains strong. Part of the reason for that increase is our EMS fund. It currently sits with $643,000. That's put through the taxes, the increase of taxes. That'll get pushed in. That'll slow down. That cash receipts will slow down. And we have $177,000 in a new account called a grant account. The general fund remains very strong. Our the unadjusted net income for the 5 months was $520,000. We budgeted a loss of $123,000, almost $124,000. So we're $644,000 higher than what we anticipated. A reason for that, or part of the reason for that, is with the resolution that we passed last month, we booked some grant income and expenses. The expenses are significantly under budget since we haven't spent those dollars yet. And that's about 422,000 of that $644,000 increase is the fact that we've not spent some grant expenses, which accounts, it's in effect, it's an income producing item. Transfer tax remains very strong. We're $48,754.38 over budget, which is hitting our bottom line, which is fabulous. I talked to you about the Green Light Go expense and the DCNR CCP grant expenses that have not yet been expended. The trash fund is right on budget. We're $16,388.32 over budget. So that one, we want to keep our eyes on as that money trickles down in the latter part of the year. So we got to keep our eye on that. But right now we're in great shape. One other thing, just point out really under 7B small I on 2I. There's a $76,000 surplus in one account and a $76,000 deficit in the other. I'm going to take a look at that and see if there's a reclassification that's required as far as budget, and I'll get back to you if we need to make a budget resolution on that.
What line item was that, Peter?
There's solid waste collection and disposal and recycling expense. One's over budget, one's under
okay.
budget by exactly the same amount. So it's more than likely a reclass or a budgeting, but it's talking to the staff, and they're saying everything is being posted into where we had anticipated. So maybe the budget was skewed a little bit at the beginning of the year, but those are you should look at those as one line item at least at this point. And with that, I conclude my report.
Thank you, Peter. Any questions for Peter from the board? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report, pay all bills, and release relevant escrows.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Theranessian. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. On to reports. We have a finance report. During the month of May, there were 56 invoices collected for the 2025 taxes. The total tax collected for May was $52,418.86 and was remitted to the township in one installment on June 5th, 2025. As of May 31st, 2025, 3,393 tax bills were collected out of 3,577 for a 94.86 return rate. Is there anything else, Mr. Plasher?
Yeah, we'll send out notices in May or in September to try to increase that. I expect the collections to really come out to the same level they were in previous years. Some of the delay could be because of some of the increases going through, but I don't see anything of concern. On the school side, that's where all the action is. The school bill was passed. Millage is going up about 2.5%, which seems very reasonable for everything else that's going on out in the world with inflation and all that stuff. And the school is introducing an online payment option this year. About the residents will be able to go online and pay. There's a fee associated with that you pay with a credit card. It might be two sets of fees, but it will provide another avenue for taxpayers. So the school bills will go out in the next couple of weeks. David should land one. And that's it. I had another conflict tonight. So does anyone have any questions?
Just one question on the online payment. Is that something that's notified on the school bill? Or how would folks find that?
Yeah, great question. We'll have an insert in with the tax bill that will talk about directing people to introducing this concept and directing people to the school district website where there'll be a tab for each municipality to be able to do their specific things because it's by bill number, not FOIA number. That'll be under. So there'll be instructions there. It will not be. There'll be a QR code on the bill possibly that will direct people to the website, but it won't be explained in an insert, and we'll see how it goes. The schools are like, if it works great, then maybe we'll introduce it to the townships.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ed.
All right, anything else?
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to public safety.
Good evening, Chief McCarthy.
Mr. Chair, Supervisors, in the other room. During the month of May 2025, the police department had 977 calls for service, They are broken down as 68 medical emergencies, 1 burglary, 20 alarms, 78 traffic stops, and 4 resulting in 48 citations, 10 domestic complaints. There were 11 motor vehicle crashes, 7 thefts, 5 fraud investigations, 6 other criminal investigations, 610 building and development checks, 12 vacation home checks, 18 suspicious vehicles, 1 municipal code violation, and 130 miscellaneous calls. This past week, the Bethel Township Police Department, in conjunction with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, received a complaint of a $1.39 million fraud that we are currently investigating. Obviously, if you want to buy something online, please do your research before you investigate this. This unfortunately was an elderly township resident. He was apparently befriended by a female and talked into purchasing what he believed was investing in gold. He was shown some fraudulent stuff online, sent some fraudulent documents, told he could sign in online and view his account, and apparently a fake website was set up. He signed in online and saw his $1.39 million go up to $2.5 million and went to withdraw some of the money, and needless to say, there was no money in the account. So it is currently being investigated. This is, it's not something that unfortunately the Bethel Township Police Department can handle. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation is involved in it. We have been in conjunction with them, sharing our information, and they're actively investigating. Apparently is not the first one of these complaints that they have received for this exact website and some other information. But, the long and the short of it is, unfortunately, that this gentleman is out $1.39 million, which is, kind of unconscionable. Other than that, as I've always said, beware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, dial 911, have the police check it, have someone respond, and let us please do our job while we're out there.
There was that little like rash of car thefts that were going on for a while. Is that kind of?
We still have, that is still ongoing in the area. Aston Township is getting hit almost on a nightly basis. We did have a couple, the other night. There was 3 cars that were entered over off of Chelsea Road. We did receive a call at about 4:15 in the morning for a suspicious person. Unfortunately, the homeowner did not wake up when it was in progress. She was awakened about 20 minutes later and called the police. But the time on her Ring camera actually is a 40-minute time delay. We obviously sent cars in the area. Aston sent cars in the area. Upper Chichester sent cars into the area. But this individual who was on a bike this time, which is the first time for us, but apparently that is the ongoing thing in Aston, is that the individual is on a bike. He appears to be a white male. He's typically dressed in all dark clothing, has a baseball hat on, has a mask on, like a COVID mask that covers his face. And the only thing that was, there were 3 cars that were entered in Bethel Township. There was, in 2 of the cars, there was nothing taken. In the 3rd car, there was about $10 or $11 in change and, just miscellaneous, $1 here, $1 there type thing, but it was total about $11. So far we have been fortunate. As far as the other townships around us are getting hit a lot worse. The patrols are out there. The one good thing is that we have great cooperation with our area surrounding police departments, in that when we get a call, they all come in. When they get a call, we all go over, to try to flood the area with, obviously police cars and see if we can attempt to catch these individuals.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Deputy Chief Small?
Hang on I'm sorry, I have a question on police before we go forward. I noticed on the budget report that, 5 months through the year, we're about $58,000 under budget on patrol salary. I'm assuming that's because we're not hitting hours.
Yes, we do have a couple of open shifts, every now and then. Most of the shifts are covered with two officers. We have had a couple of sick calls lately. We do have, a few of the officers have also been mandated at their full-time jobs. So they are obviously, unable to work, a shift here for various reasons. Either it's that shift that they were mandated for, or if they worked a shift at Bethel, that would put them into a situation where they're working 24 hours in a row. So yes, we do have a couple of open shifts on the schedule and have had.
Is there any, I mean, other than waiting to see what happens, are there any plans to backfill the schedule to try to keep it full?
We are actually, I had a discussion with my police liaison yesterday. We have one part-time officer that we are getting ready to hire. In fact, just this afternoon, I received his approval from MOPEC. So I will be approaching the board at next month's meeting to hire him. I also have another interview set up for next Tuesday, I believe it is, at 9 o'clock for another part-time officer. So we do have some, unfortunately, we may also be losing one or two officers, which sadly is something that we go through quite often, you know, the transition from one officer to another. But we are actively recruiting. We are looking for part-time officers. It's hard to hire them, unfortunately.
Answer my question. Thanks, Chief.
Chief, can I ask a question? I know last year, when we did the budget, we offered some incentives for different night shifts and weekend shifts. Do you think that's working, or like, are those shifts now getting more coverage than you were seeing in the past?
We, as compared to last year, we have been covering more and more shifts with two officers constantly. Within.
That was the intent was
Yes.
to
Oh, yeah.
encourage them to work those
Yes.
kind of missed shift times.
And I also think on the retention side, it is, I think we're retaining the officers because our salary here is very, very competitive now, where in the past it was not. So it was, you know, if I'm going to work part-time, why should I work here where I can go there and make $4 or $5 more an hour? We've covered that gap very nicely, and we have a very competitive salary. So I do think it's working.
Okay, I just wanted to, kind of.
You know,
Make
it's
sure.
a lot of it's the current climate. I mean, we've all seen what's happening out in Los Angeles, and, you know, there's other rallies that are scheduled for Delaware County in the very near future, you know, along the same lines, if you will. It's, you know, and in addition, you know, it's hard because all of the great majority of our officers have other full-time jobs.
Sure.
And have other full-time requirements. So it is sometimes difficult to get them to, you know, work an extra shift. But I think we are making progress as compared to last year, definitely.
That's good news. Thank you.
No more
Thanks,
questions?
Chief.
Thank you.
We're good. Deputy Chief Small, once again.
Yeah.
Good evening, folks, supervisors. For the month, we had call services of 45, 235 year to date. We had 13 calls in Bethel, 1 fire alarm, 10 EMS, 2 motor vehicle accidents. Mutual aid calls, we had 32, 6 with Conquerville, 11 Upper Chi, 3 with Tallyville, 7 with Claymont, 1 with Brookhaven, 1 with Lower Chichester, and 3 with Bernie 100. We had 2 drills for the month. And we'd like to thank everybody for attending our annual carnival. We had a couple rain out nights, but the residents came through for us and helped us out. So I want to thank everybody for coming out.
Thanks, Brett. Any questions for Brett? Thank you. On to you, Giovanni.
I was just waiting for you to give me
Sorry.
my cue. I didn't
Sorry
want
about
to
that.
step in
No,
there.
please.
So the EMS report, and probably got to get some clarity because 50 calls for service, 40 ALS calls, 10 BLS calls, but I'm not sure if those are total or all for Bethel. So we'll get some clarity on the next month's report on that. But that's the EMS report. I can hop right into the emergency management report. No events of major injury or property damage were reported. Our emergency management coordinator is working on coordinating the fireworks for the 4th of July. So he's arranged a meeting that was attended by staff yesterday to go over the logistics and safety for that event. And he's also attended some training for emergency management up in Hershey and in Oaks. Ray, you have anything else you want to add?
No, man.
All right. Let me
I have a
just-
question.
Yeah.
I've heard through the grapevine that we are hosting some emergency management council collective coalition thing in a couple weeks. What is that?
I don't think we are hosting it. I think it's happening at the firehouse per se. Ray, you want to talk about it?
So what happens is the county puts on information typically during the day when nobody can respond for some reason. So what I've done is I've arranged for the same classes, individuals resource-wise to come to Bethel during the evening when most people are available from their full-time jobs. And that's all it is. It's at no cost to the township. It's just in the township and that's it.
But I mean, who's providing the information? I'm confused.
So what it is, it's the resources that are available to all the townships, meaning, say that the county, American Red Cross, Salvation Army, so all those representatives, as well as the county resources, will be on hand to give out the information.
Okay, and are you coordinating this in your role as emergency management coordinator?
I would say hosting it.
Okay, so we are hosting it.
You could say that, yeah.
Okay.
It's at the firehouse.
Okay, I mean, was there any discussion or clearance amongst the board as to before we decided to host this? I'm just curious because usually that's how things work.
It was mentioned a while ago that I wanted to do this. I don't know if I ever gave a date that was set up though.
Okay, was it discussed amongst the board or who was it mentioned to?
A while ago, it was mentioned to G, but like I said, a while ago, and it was an official date was never given. No.
Okay. Is it, I mean, sounds to me like there's potentially the perception for people that shows up that this is a township event.
Well, it's not offered to the public, right?
Correct.
It's only emergency management coordinators.
And township managers, like I sent it out to them as well,
Okay.
as well as the county sent it out.
Okay. But this was just done without the board saying we're okay with it.
I'm not aware if the board discussed it or not.
All right.
Any other questions, Supervisor Davey?
No more.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, I'll move on to the highway report. Crews continued grass cutting and trimming of township properties and continue with storm drain repairs. Serviced several police cars and had them inspected, cleaned and reconfigured their cement trailer, helped with the shredding event, removed debris from storm drains for the rain events. They'd like to remind residents not to be blowing grass and leaves into the streets when you're taking care of your property. They cause the drains to overflow. They serviced the mowers and the trimmers, cleaned up fallen debris at Jack King, excavated the new flower bed at John Atkinson and spread topsoil in low areas and seeded it. Put out and retrieved precinct signs for voting and reinstalled the flag light at Community Park. For the buildings and grounds, they took down the chairs in the Myers building for the voting and set them back up after the event. Repaired the garage door in the EMS building, cleaned the gutters around the township campus, put the flags at half-staff for Memorial Day and then raised them back, and then cleaned the shop of mud after the rain events. That concludes the buildings and grounds report.
Thank you. On to the board reports. First is Parks and Recreation. The board has been preparing for two bigger events in the summer. So for fireworks, July 3rd, there was a safety meeting held yesterday, and then ambulance will be on standby at the event, but coordination between EMC, fire, police, and EMS for that event. And then for the corn boil planning on August 24th, the board discussed tent rental layout, catering, and entertainment. And the only other topic that's on the agenda was installing the Songbird Garden at Atkinson Park. I think the initial installation happened this month, and there was some pretty significant washout. So I think that the highway department's looking to try to repurpose the material and improve the installation. So it's in a little bit higher level because I think it's sitting a little bit low right now. That concludes the Parks and Recreation report. There are 4 items under Parks and Rec. The first is a motion. I'm going to make a motion to approve the release of funds for the July 3rd fireworks display in an amount not to exceed $10,200.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. The discussion here is this is generally our allotment we pay annually. We've been using the same vendor for quite some time. Is there any discussion about this release from the board? From the public? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The second item is the motion to approve. I'm making a motion to approve the release of funds for the corn boil in an amount not to exceed $15,000. The bulk of the receipts were submitted in the packet. This includes tent rentals, food, catering, entertainment for that event.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. Discussion from the board.
I assume this is with the understanding with the Parks and Rec that there's not going to be any overages, or is there more bills to come?
No,
This was the budget.
correct. Yes,
So this is it.
this is it.
Okay.
Work with that. I will say, Supervisor Davey, there have been some sponsorships in conjunction with the event, but it's not a overly significant amount. I'd have to check the number. I think it's around $1,500. But to respond to your question, yeah, we're not exceeding $15,000 from the budget for the corn boil. Any other discussion from the board? From the public? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The third item is a discussion and possible action for to approve the proposal for Bethel Township Night at the Ballpark. So last year, the township office provided an opportunity for Bethel residents to buy a block of tickets. There was provided busing and generally having the community out for a Phillies event. I think in the packet, there was some correspondence between the Parks and Recreation Board about how that gets executed. But the steps in place are, if this board wants to continue with that event, then we would approve the release of funds. And then we would look for the Parks and Rec Board to execute collecting funds in conjunction with the township from the residents and then distributing the tickets to the public. My discussion piece is because there's no chair or vice chair currently for the Parks and Rec Board, it seems like a lot to take on this event and to try to hold it successfully. I feel like it's a great event and that people enjoyed their time there. And if we were to move forward, I would suggest potentially a conditional approval of funds contingent on providing, Parks and Rec Board providing like an execution plan to this board for review. I talking to Dr. Addison about the way the township was involved previously. There's a lot of folks coming and dropping off checks at the township and then trying to talk about discussing seats and blocks of seats without having somebody in the township office to do that. I want to make sure there's a plan in place and that we're not, stuck purchasing a bulk of tickets that we can't get residents to purchase.
I mean, I think it was a great event. I went last year. I think we had a really nice turnout. I would love to see it happen again. It's an opportunity for all of our residents to get together and spend some time together. I'll say the only two concerns I had was, I think we only budgeted $5,000 for the event, number one, and all the prices you received were higher than that. Number two, I don't think in any way we should be ordering 100 tickets because we didn't sell 100 tickets last time. I would see if we could reduce the number of tickets ordered to maybe, 75 tickets. I think we were close to that mark. And we got a late start on it last year, so we didn't get as much coverage out to the public of the event. So it'd be nice to, even if we decide to go through with it, have some information posted at the 4th of July, have some information posted at the Corn Boil, because I think we're looking at later in the season. So
Correct.
just to get some more participation. But I would love to see it happen. I know it's a big lift for whoever's coordinating it, and Marco was a very passionate Phillies fan and did a great job last year. So finding somebody who's able to do that, I think, is going to be the challenge. And I know Parks and Rec doesn't meet until tomorrow night. So, I mean, my suggestion, I would kind of agree with you. Maybe we conditionally approve it and then, with, being able to find somebody who's going to take on kind of the coordination effort. This way, at least we can get the ball rolling and start the process and not hold it up another full month. We don't have to.
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple options. I'm looking at page 80 of the packet, because there's varying costs depending on which day and which team they're playing. But the combination of some of these tickets, it's a cost per person of roughly $30 for the ticket, could be as low as $20 for 48 seat bus. So we're in that ballpark of $50 per ticket.
Which is close to what it was last year.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what it was, 100 seats at $50 per. So, yeah, any other discussion from the board?
No, I agree with what you both are saying. I think if we give this a little bit of time and can talk about it at Parks and Rec tomorrow, maybe we can find a solution.
Yeah, I will say that the timing piece of it is a challenge. If it was something we didn't take action on now,
Yeah.
then we're into July looking to get stuff for August, September, and then playoff hunts and everything like that. So, and like I said, I would like to say, I'd like to see kind of a draft of this is how they intend to execute distributing the tickets, collecting funds and distributing the tickets. I think, Dr. Addison, it's safe to say that residents would be able to drop checks off here, but we might have to connect them to somebody from Parks and Rec to coordinate seat blocks and things like that. Because your concern was larger parties, 5, 6 tickets, how that all gets seated together, right? Okay.
We could collect, document to be collected, and then we have to figure out a way to connect with the major MLB app to get the seats facilitated. I can reach out to our staff accountant and follow up tomorrow after the Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, I'd say let's just see what their appetite is. Supervisor Davey, what's your thoughts? And do you have any?
I mean, I don't have any strong thoughts one way or the other on the event. I think that I agree in terms of the number of tickets. I wouldn't purchase 100, but if you're going to reduce the number of ticket block, it might affect the price. I assume if you're buying a smaller ticket block, they're going to want to charge more money for it. So I don't know what the cost differential there is. In terms of the available dates that were sent around, I would only caution probably number one, avoid September 11th. I don't think the optics are very good there. And after you get, beyond that, the other dates, kids are still in school at that point again, or back in school, I should say. So a Wednesday night, Thursday night in the end of September may not draw as much interest because they're school nights. So if you're going to do it, I would either do it on Friday the 12th or Friday the 26th and price it accordingly. I also don't think the bus is necessary. I think that is an additional expense that isn't worth the price of admission. I think the coordination and the timing and the potential for problems, people are people or adults, let them buy tickets and get themselves there. And it will keep the cost down. Maybe it allows us to buy 100 tickets at a lower price point if we're not within the $5,000 budget, if we're not paying for transportation.
I liked the bus option. I
I was
took the
gonna
bus
say.
last year. It was not completely full, but there were definitely, people definitely used it and it was great. It literally dropped us off right out front. You guys were there and we had, and you're not paying the extra $50 for parking or whatever it is. So, whether, I think it's a better deal, I think, for the residents to take the bus. And I think, like I said, in general, for the ticket sales and the bus, being full, I think we just got on it too late last year and didn't get enough information out there, so.
And it's a reimbursable anyways, right? I mean, this event we're looking at, right? I don't know that we were looking.
We're not footing the cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Supervisor Davey, I don't know that these are the only dates we can choose from either, so I'll take that feedback to the meeting tomorrow. And also, when we investigate a smaller block, what that does to the impact for the cost, if anything. And then the only other thing I'd say is, I know that Bethel Springs does a Phillies night of their own. And interestingly, I think what was attractive about Bethel holding the event is that folks that don't have kids in school, it's an avenue for them to get out. So it is a little bit of a cross section of some of the older folks that obviously don't have kids and have that opportunity to go to that one. But I don't disagree. I think if we can try to make it happen in August before the kids go back, might be the best opportunity for success.
Yeah, but I mean, one last thing on the bus. I mean, if you're passing on the cost of the bus onto the ticket holder, I mean, if I'm buying a ticket and it's going to cost me an extra $39 to sit on the bus, but it only costs me $20 to park, why would I spend the extra $19? I would just spend 20 and drive and park and leave when I need to leave, or if I need to leave early. But I mean, the 20-seater shuttle bus is an extra $47.05 a ticket, unless we're subsidizing it, which again, I'm hearing we're not. So if it's a pass-through cost, I don't know why logistically or logically it would make sense to charge people, why people would pay more money to take a bus than it would be to drive and park.
Yeah, I think some folks don't like driving in the city, and I think you get dropped off in a good spot.
I mean, I'm pretty sure parking more than $20 at the stadium.
No, it's $20.
$20 what? So, I mean, for $19.60, I think, that's just my thought. I think the bus is a good option, but. So do we want to, since the budget was only 5,000, do we want to make a motion to approve the release of up to $5,000 for no more than 75 tickets? Or do we not want to cap a ticket number to see
No, I
what you
think
get on
that-
prices?
I don't disagree with what you both have said. I'm comfortable with that. And then, like I said, I think it should be contingent
Right,
on.
I was gonna go there, but I
Sorry,
just
go
didn't know,
ahead.
I didn't know if we wanted to,
Yeah, I think so.
do we think we could get 100 tickets sold between now and, I just feel like,
Why don't we just make a motion to release not in excess of 5,000 and leave it to whoever's coordinating it to figure out
That
the
works.
best arrange a
Okay.
deal.
Yeah.
do you want to do that motion?
Yeah, sure. I'll make a motion to release funds in an amount not to exceed $5,000 for the purchase of a block of tickets and potentially a bus for Bethel Township Night at the Ballpark.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any other discussion from the public on this? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think I excluded the fact that it was contingent on a execution plan, but the intent is there.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
guys can't do it, then
Right.
no harm, no foul.
Right. Okay, thank you. The last item I have is I'd like to make a motion to approve the release of funds in an amount not to exceed $165 for the Pennsylvania Resources Council for a composting workshop on July 21st, 2025, from 6 to 7 o'clock PM in the John Myers Building.
Can you give a little more?
Yeah, I'll give some background on that. So the first thing is that the date could be flexible. but this is a date that seemed to work for this group. The PRC, they would come and do a workshop. So they'll come and they'll explain to residents, how to successfully compost. So it's basically providing their expertise for an hour to come out and demonstrate that.
Is this through Parks and Rec or Birdtown Bee City or?
It's through Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Yep.
And that comes out of what budget part, like line?
I'd have to open it up. There is a miscellaneous. I mean, we're not talking about a large
Yeah.
dollar
No, I'm
amount,
just curious.
but it wouldn't come out of any of the events. It would come out of or the park development. I think it would come out of the miscellaneous.
They're not actually bringing any like soil materials here, right? Where it could end up being a mess and then we have to clean up all the.
If they were to do any of that, it would be in the parking lot.
Okay.
I don't think.
Don't want to
they
come
will.
in
That's
the
an
next day
outside,
and.
that's an outside
I,
action.
Well, you never
the reason I
know.
say is I expect that they'll bring a composting like
Bin.
turner.
Okay.
That's probably what's going to happen.
And just be mindful of.
Do we have any ideas the potential level of interest here? Or are we gonna have them come in for like one person to show up? I mean,
Yeah, that was a discussion. There was.
I think it might be an idea to send something around or put something on the website and maybe see if we can get a head count before we just start writing checks. I know it's not a lot of money, but that's not the point.
Yeah, the Parks and Rec Board did put out a survey. And I don't actually know how that was accessed, if it was on
It was on social media.
social media. Yeah, I think they got like 5 respondents when they had that open for a month. So I don't anticipate it being a sold out event. But yeah, the argument that they made was if we were to advertise it, and if you get 8 or 10 people, it's a pretty worthwhile event for relative to the cost. Any other questions from the board? Any comments from the public? So there's a motion on this. I was looking for a second.
Second.
So motion made and seconded by Supervisor Darganessian. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Excuse me, onto the zoning hearing board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The zoning hearing board report for May 2025, the board had one item on the agenda. Application 2025-06, a variance request to install a gazebo on a deck extension. This request was granted with conditions. The board's next meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 25th at 7 p.m. At this time, the board will be considering the following variance request. 2025-07, the applicant is seeking relief from section 1916-2-B and is requesting to install a 5-foot aluminum fence in the rear and sides of the property in lieu of the allowable maximum height of 4 feet. Property is zoned R1 residential. And that was submitted by Gary Lanahan. Anything to add?
That covers it. Thanks.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Onto the planning commission.
Planning Commission did not have a meeting this month, but looks like we might have a meeting next month, so stay tuned for an agenda on that.
Thank you. Onto the sewer authority.
Sewer Authority report looks like dedication work is completed for phase 4 at Foxfield. Creekside Run dedication also done. And then Belmont, the developer's ready to proceed with developer and security agreements. Powell Road upgrade, they've started the final design of the pump station, trying to bid it out in 2 phases. And then the pump station generators, the authority received a grant to install new or replace 4 generators at Green Glen, Northbrook, Scotts Glen, and Lumen Circle. Also trying to bid that out in 2 phases and hoping for installation in summer 2025. That concludes the sewer authority report.
Great, thank you. On to education. Supervisor Davey.
Thank you. The Delaware County Intermediate Unit hosted its annual legislative breakfast on May 16th, which brought together school board members and state and federal legislators, for a timely conversation on important topics in education. It was attended by Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, State Senator Tim Kearney, and PSBA Chief Advocacy Officer Kevin Busher. Dr. Sam Armando, who is the Garnet Valley Director of Technology Innovation and Online Learning, delivered a keynote address on artificial intelligence in education, highlighting both its potential and the responsibility that it brings. Regionally, Garnet Valley School District has an advantage in this area because of Dr. Ramondo's leadership and unique partnership it has forged with ChatGPT. A student panel from a year-long AI student forum was also featured. Their insights were thoughtful, authentic, and a powerful reminder that student voices must be central in shaping the future of learning. Other than that, in terms of announcements, tomorrow is the last day of school. For those of you who don't live in my household and don't know that. At this point, for some more updates, I'll turn it over to our junior supervisor, Leah.
Hello, I'm Leah. I'm the junior supervisor. So I know.
Oh, yeah, I just want to make sure you had-
Yeah.
I apologize.
I know my presentation says May updates and looking forward in June, but most of it has already happened since the school year is ending tomorrow, like you said. You can go to the next slide.
You can't see it though. We can see it, but you can't.
It's just smaller.
Just page,
We don't need to see it.
page down.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, it doesn't work that way because this is on a
Okay.
5-second.
Oh, we're good.
Okay. So we had prom. So most of the stuff happening in May and June were senior related since they are all leaving school. So senior prom and post prom were very good. I saw lots of pictures from post prom. It looked very fun. They also went to Hershey Park for their senior trip. Looking at the middle school, Giussana and Anand, sorry, I butchered the name, is a middle schooler, 7th grader who got tying for 100th during a national spelling bee among 11 million participants. So that's really amazing. And then our little Jags, the babysitting program and childhood development program at the high school, they had their graduation. So there's pictures on the next slide. So in the top left corner, we have the spelling bee, and the bottom left corner, we have the little Jags. And the rest of the pictures are post-prom because I found it very fun and wanted to include lots of them. That QR code is for an Instagram video. It showed the entire post-prom walkthrough of it. So the theme was Jags are us, so Toys R Us. And so it was very little kid focused, and they had a lot of very fun games and stuff. I heard lots of great reviews. So in June, we had the graduation last week, June 5th. And that was very nice. We had a lot of amazing speakers. A few days before that, or 2 days before that, we had the senior awards where many seniors were acknowledged for their scholarship and citizenship while being at the high school. So congrats to them. And this week has been finals. So a lot of people are testing. A lot of people are done and just sitting through boring classes that they have to get through. That is me, since I had mostly AP tests. And tomorrow's our last day. So it's very fun for that. I would have pictures from graduation, but I made this before. So the Pennington project. Right now, the actual Pennington building hasn't changed that much because it just looks like a construction site. But the big change has been the fields and the hill. They completely took down everything there, and there's a giant hole right next to the football stadium, which was a surprise to me. Again, that QR code in the bottom right corner will be the website where they have lots of Q&As and updates on the Pennington project. So if you need to scan that, that is there. And that is all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Davey, the Rich Cole Library.
Thank you. List of all the current library events and activities are available on the library's website, rachelcole.org. Rachel Cole Library has hired a new director, Reno Whitwright, who's taken over after Susan Sternberg's retirement. And I also would like to make a motion that we disperse the annual library tax collection audit or tax collection amount, to the library, an amount not to exceed $36,000.
Thank you, Supervisor Davey. I'll second that motion. I also wanted to mention that Ms. Whitwright is here as well to collect the remittance. But first, there's a motion made and a second. Is there any discussion from the board, from the public on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And Stephanie, I didn't know if there's anything else you needed to add or wanted to add from the library aspect.
No, but I think if the director wanted to say a few words, she's welcome. to do
Please,
that.
yes.
We had, also have a
Yeah.
check for her to sign, for the
Sure.
speaker.
Correct. Great.
Thank you. I just wanted to introduce myself. I came from the Newtown Square Library where I've been since 2019 and just started at Rachel Cole, and I love it and everything about it. And I love the townships. Everybody here, we are definitely, I'm here with two of my board members as well. And we are just trying to improve the quality of life in the communities that we serve. And we do that by offering resources and spaces where people can learn, meet, enjoy, and grow together. And I'm very excited to partner with Bethel Township to be able to do that as well. One thing that we do have going on this month, if everybody doesn't have a chance, we're doing a June survey. And this will be just to improve our services and programs that we offer to the communities. So if y'all have a chance, please go take our survey. It's online. I have a QR code here as well that I can leave for you.
And we can post that right on that
Yeah,
board.
right
That
there.
board behind.
I will put it
Grab a
right
thumbtack
there.
and hang it up.
There we go.
Not the green
And
one.
We do also have our bulletin boards now in the library too, where we can post any kind of township events too. So if you have any of those, just send them out to me. We'll get them all posted for you as well.
So just take those other 2 pages.
That's what I was
We
thinking.
can
I
get
was
you
gonna
some
put
extra
those on
copies.
there and then, and I was also gonna just make a comment about when you do have composting events and that type of thing, if you ever want to host them at the library, that is a place that we can do that. We have a very large community room that we would love to have all kinds of services for. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you give a check?
Yeah.
Yeah, please. You could stay up and bring those board members up. Can we squeeze Supervisor Davey in there on the screen?
Yes, he's on here. Come up here. The big check. All right, all right. Yes, thank you.
I guess.
Chuck, you really should be.
Can you get us all?
There we go, tighten up. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi.
They're all in one place, not together. Thanks. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll catch a big check.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to move on to the manager's report. Dr. Addison?
Making sure it's working. It wasn't working earlier. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. During the month of May, the Township Office focused on preparing for two major community events, one being the 4th of July fireworks and the annual, second being the annual Corn Boil. We've been working closely with the vendors to make sure everything stays on track. Just yesterday, we held a fireworks safety meeting ahead of the July 3rd celebration. This meeting included our emergency management coordinator, fire marshal, members of the police department, and members of the fire department. Supervisor Dara Hanessian and Supervisor Denny, Chairman Denny, also attended the meeting. Together, they reviewed the site setup, confirmed safety protocols to help ensure a safe and successful event for everyone attending. On the finance side, the accounting office finally completed the pension and liquid fuels audits in the month of May. These are important parts of our annual financial reporting. The team is also in the process of finishing up the annual workers' compensation audit as well. In addition to our trash and recycling to better serve our residents, the township staff, we've also made some updates to the township website regarding the trash and recycling services. These improvements include the following: a color-coded weekly trash pickup schedule, a clear recycling guidelines tailored for Bethel Township residents, a downloadable, which I downloaded and put on my refrigerator. I feel kind of old because my mom and dad used to do that when I was little, with a holiday pickup schedule, color coordinated, and a more detailed instruction for bulk trash collection, which is what we're getting a lot of calls for. All this information is now available on our township's website in a printable, easy to use format to help residents stay informed. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Hudson.
All the trash related stuff, that's awesome. That'll
Yes,
be really
yes.
super helpful for people.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. It's a big push for us.
Yeah.
Okay, on to old business. Mr. Madden, could you give us an update on the burn ordinance?
Yeah, so you'll recall, I don't know, several months ago, I want to say. I circulated 3 model burn ordinances to the Board of Supervisors. Based on the feedback I got, I put together a draft using one of them. That was publicized. We had some public comment and some comment from the board. And at this point, just today, I made one revision just based on the comments from the board, circulated back to you guys to look at. So I'm optimistic that we could have it to the public for next month's meeting and authorization to advertise from there.
Fantastic. Any questions for Mr. Madden from the board? Any questions from the public on this? Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Madden. On to the engineers update. Mr. Hootman?
Yeah, just a few items of note. At last month's meeting, the board awarded the contract for the 2025 road program to Incon. They've been delivered contract documents to sign, and they are going to process that contract and deliver back with payment bonds and performance bonds and all the paperwork that's required. And we expect to receive that shortly. At Jack King Park, there is a program to replace the boardwalks which cross wetland areas. With respect to that project, the wetlands have been redelineated. The delineation has been field surveyed and added to a plan. A Pennsylvania Natural Diversity Index search has been filed to determine if there's any endangered or threatened species. One hit was received but cleared. So now we're in the process of applying for a GP7 from the Department of Environmental Protection for the wetland disturbance. Those wooden boardwalks are going to be replaced with a stone path, which will make them the maintenance of the stone path will be much less for the boardwalk. And the boardwalks also become slippery with the dew and wetness, so that'll correct that problem. And lastly, there was some inquiry about Belmont 3. That land development was probably approved close to a year ago, but not started. I talked to Sam Milron recently. He's been coordinating some utility with utility companies and expects to start that project in about a month, maybe a little over a month. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Hootman. Is there any other questions from the board? Mr. Hootman? From the public? Thank you very much. Moving on to new business.
I'd like to make a motion to approve payment to general code for annual maintenance service activities in an amount not to exceed $950. This is where we house all of our electronic codes for the township for the public to access. It's a periodic maintenance agreement with them.
I will second that. Motion made by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by myself. Any discussion from the board on this? From the public? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the second motion is a motion to adopt resolution 2025-25, amending resolution 2025-15 to increase the township's matching contribution for the Goodley Road Flood Mitigation Grant application to $92,144. The back history on this is that, as you know, we've submitted multiple grant applications for Goodley Road. The DCED has started their review and said that the maximum grant award would be $500,000. We've requested a little more than that, so they've just kind of shifted the budget allocation. I think it's by like $8,000 from what we originally had. So our match would be $92,144, and they needed an updated resolution to be provided. So this is just an update to the resolution.
I will second that one as well. So motion made by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by myself. From a discussion standpoint, just point of clarity, this is a replacement of the previous resolution. Thank you. And none of that funds have been spent yet. And if we're successful with the grant, that's when we would start to trigger our match.
Correct. And we probably won't hear anything until the end of the year.
Any other discussion from the board on this? From the public? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item C on new business, we will table this item. We're looking to get additional bids and quotations from other vendors. And I know we want to get their striping accomplished, so we're hopeful that we'll have this back on the agenda for next month. But want to have two, if not more, bids for this item. On to
You need to make a
item.
motion. He's gotta make a motion to table it, right?
Well, you have no action on it, so technically you probably don't need anything. Although for the minutes, it might be a good idea.
Yeah, I feel it's.
Well, go ahead and make that motion.
Yeah, we can't leave it hanging at that point. All right, I'll make a motion to table new business item C for the July board meeting.
I'll
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So item D, my understanding, just the way that we build our budgets here, we look at the last year, last several years, and then the midway point, we extrapolate that to the end of the year, and we try to build our budget for the upcoming year. And that starts to happen around the end of summer, so that we can be in order to get an approved budget by the end of the year. Some of the things I've experienced, at least being on the board, is there's not a lot of space for things to be budgeted outside of, maybe one or two conversations. And the other thing I've kind of noticed is we don't necessarily have a 3 or 5 year plan on what we want to do as a township. We have recommendations in our comprehensive plan, and we have evaluations done of our building assessment. But I was looking to try to foster an opportunity where the board could discuss potential initiatives, in an open dialogue. We could get resident input and try to make sure that we're budgeting for the types of services and amenities that make sense for our community. I'm not necessarily looking to, certainly not looking to take action in a public meeting, but I think that it would be great to have an avenue for each of our respective liaison responsibilities to come back with their target list of the things that they'd like to see done. And we could either work towards how to make that happen, or we can at least be able to satisfy in a conversation that that's not going to be able to be in the budget. I think I circulated some potential dates that made sense, at least just speaking for me, for my schedule, which was July 22nd or August 26th. So I think that's like the 4th week in July or the last Tuesday in August. So just looking for some board discussion on whether you all feel like this would be a worthwhile endeavor.
I think it's a great idea. I can do either of those dates.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm good with either date.
thank you. Supervisor Davey, what's your opinion on this?
My opinion is that I don't think it's a constructive use of time, but that's fine. I think we have to remind ourselves that we are a township, not a private business. There are limited scope of activities and things that we can and should do, in my opinion, with public funds. And we don't always necessarily need to be looking to do the next biggest, best, and greatest thing. So I think taking the time to let people just generally come up with wish lists of things they want to do or like to do without really any concept of the flexibility of our tax base, and counter-imposed with the things that we actually have to spend money on legally, like recycling, for example, that we don't have a choice about because that's what we're told to do by the Commonwealth and MS4 and other things. I think it's just a waste of time.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I know a couple of things that I've experienced is some changes aren't necessarily a cost difference. It might just be in the way that we operate. As an example, we don't have a great asset management system here. We don't have a great catalog.
What does that mean?
What does asset management mean? It means tracking our assets. So do we have,
we have Peter and the reports he gives every month and the budgets that we constantly move and look at and swap money back and forth in. We have police cars that we know, we have a list of all of our vehicles and the mileage on them. We know what real estate we own. So other than office equipment, what other assets am I missing?
highway equipment or
Okay, we have lists of those too.
the age of, I haven't seen that.
Okay, they're around.
Well, it'd be great to have a discussion on how to put that in a centrally located place.
Well,
But
you need a discussion about it? Just put it somewhere. I mean, you asked me my opinion on having a public meeting to discuss stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know that this rises the level of needing to bring people to a public meeting for an hour and a half to talk about where we put things. But that's my opinion.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Any other discussion from the board? From the public on this? Please. And thank you for coming up.
Diane Smith. It just seems like, if you have a good idea, you can just come and say it. I mean, it seems like we're open enough where if we have a good idea to do something, like if someone had a good filing system for something or, I don't know. I've come up with some ideas myself and approached someone that I thought would be interested in hearing about it. I just seem like we're an open, you're an open up board that you could come up with good ideas. I also feel like, you have this meeting and summers are tough. Don't have it in the summer. But you have this meeting, and then what if someone has a good idea, 2 months later? You know what I mean? They've less, feels like, I don't know. I don't know if it should be so stringent. Maybe people have good ideas. They should just be encouraged to, tell you. And I know, so Park and Rec is a good idea, if they have an, they might say something like, well, we want a new swing set in 3 years somewhere. I don't know that it needs to be a special meeting or, I know it would help with budgeting, but it just seems like a lot of effort for something that we might not really need. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, some of the challenges, there's those guardrails on our ability to deliberate as a board, right? So if we're actually wanting to openly discuss initiatives, then that really needs to be done in front of the public.
Right.
So
Well,
it's of great benefit for me to be able to talk freely and say, here's things. And my intent, should this be something we want to do, would be to request from the liaisons, go back to police, go back to fire, what have you. And let's get a chance to look at that list before we have the meeting. So there is an agenda and we're looking at some of the items. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be cost-based. It could be process-based.
yeah. I just don't know why it can't be incorporated in a meeting as long as it doesn't get too long-winded.
I think it might.
regular
That's
meeting.
fine. That's my
Wow.
fear.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a couple hundred line items in the budget alone, let alone the way we want to do social media or website or whatever, any potential thing that might come up. I just thought it might detract from the general process of these meetings. And then summer, it's a challenge, but we have to do it soon so that we have, if there's any tweaks or modifications or planning we would need to do budget wise, we would have to have enough time to incorporate it there.
It's a hardship in the summer for residents to come because a lot of them are on vacation.
We would probably allow it to be done online if that would help.
Yeah.
Like these meetings.
Okay, that's just all I want to say about it. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Please. I'm going to ask for your name and address today. I know, I'm sorry.
John Nevy, 3213 Salem Farm Lane. I think I would agree with Mr. Davy and Diane that, adding additional meetings for public input, particularly adding another summer meeting for something that when you look at it on the agenda, has a very ominous sounding, strategic plan for long-term strategic planning. I have concerns about the fact you're adding another meeting outside of what this meeting is, from my understanding, is supposed to be, even if it means we add an extra, I'd rather see an extra hour added here a couple times a year to go through issues, if, you know, if there's concerns to have discussions with, than have a meeting added another meeting added in the middle of summer to discuss something significant. I'm thinking back to the planning discussion meetings we've had over the last 2 years. Again, both of which were, as I recall, were held, you know, in kind of July timeframe, which had limitations on, you know, much of the public being able to attend because of the timing and the fact that, you know, vacation scheduling and things of that sort. I think, you know, bearing that in mind, understanding that, you know, that these are important issues that do tend to generate much more significant public interest. You know, warrants having it, you know, done in a time that is more conducive to have a wider range of the public attend, and attend in person so that they can voice their concerns and feelings like we're doing here, as opposed to being online where you have more limited options to be able to do so. Again, you know, voicing my concern and opinion on that, but I understand where you're coming from in terms of wanting to kind of smooth out the budget pieces and the budget questions longer term. But that's what these meetings I thought were really supposed to be for. You've already added the working meeting at the, you know, the later part of the month from time to time. Again, I think adding additional meetings just overburdens the public and ultimately makes things less transparent. So thank you.
That's 1602 anyway. I just wanted to remind you that we had Simone Collins come in here and do this comprehensive plan, which that went on for. And I thought that was pretty worthwhile. That's very similar to this, you're saying strategic plan. And really, that's kind of what Simone Collins did. So, you know, you would have to consider, you know, I don't think the public can come up with a strategic plan. You know, like with fire and EMS, you know, how are you going to handle that? Right now you have things under control, but maybe it's not optimal. Right? So something to plan that, but I don't know about having the public do it.
Oh, yeah, and I may have misspoke there. It's one where the public would be welcome to attend, but I would expect the homework to be done by the board and their counterparts at the other departments and be able to have that conversation in the public.
Because they spent a lot of time on the comprehensive plan, and about 60% of that is all about the parks. So
Yeah, but this is not the same thing.
I understand what it is. Okay. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Here's one more. Is there one more comment?
Hi, Eileen Ming, 3625 Salmon Farm. I just want to agree with Mr. Nevi that these are really important topics that need to be discussed. And I feel like as long as there's a time and a place that the discussions happen, I don't know that it has to be a separate meeting or added on to other meetings, but I just want to say that they are important enough to set aside some time, in my opinion.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay, after, I guess, listening to that a little bit, I'd like to take a beat and maybe try to consider what would be the best. I personally feel strongly that we should have a meeting, but maybe a separate meeting isn't appropriate. I think it would be a long meeting regardless, but yeah, Mr. Nevi.
Can we maybe do it over the course of 2 meetings and just say we're gonna allot 1 hour this month and 1 hour next month and then cut it off there, go into our regular meeting? And then we have, if we need another month, we add a 3rd hour to another month. Or a half an hour, maybe a half an hour discussion. I mean, I don't know.
Still summer though.
I get it. I mean, I'm fine either way. I don't really have an
Timewise,
objection.
it's hard to do it in advance of what we need for time for the budget.
I mean, it's not gonna be the only opportunity for us to have a budget discussion
Sure.
either. We have
Sure.
several other budget meetings, so.
Right, and I also want to point out, it's not entirely about the budget either. It's about Preventive maintenance, for example, is a big thing we don't really plan for here, and things break and then we pay to fix it. And we're not paying the best that we could because we're in a clutch situation. If we were planning ahead of time, sometimes
That's budget. That's budgeting. That's just adding a line item in the budget for preventive maintenance.
it's everything that we're gonna do is gonna spend money potentially, except for processes, but it's also we've never had that conversation to do it like that. It's always, let's keep this budget at a amount year on year without factoring the age and condition of equipment.
I wouldn't say that's true because
No,
we
that's not
future
true at all.
plan for like replacement of vehicles. We future plan for road programs, like we knew costs were going up for the road program, so Matt said to me, gee, we need to increase the cost for the road program this year. So I wouldn't say that we don't future plan at all, because we definitely do. I see where you're coming from, there's definitely some bigger projects that, you know, we've been, like the Goodley Road culvert, at a certain point, we're gonna have to pull the trigger and say, we're not successful on the grants, when are we gonna say, let's just execute and build the culvert. Same thing with the MS4, the Sharon Basin. At a certain point, we may have to say, we're not successful with the grants, we need to expend the funds. And those are large dollar amounts. So I would definitely love to have a discussion about that and when we want to make that kind of decision. But I wouldn't say we don't future plan, because we do. I think we could certainly think a little bit further into the future on some of the maintenance items, but I don't think that's a fair statement.
Okay. So Mr. Madden, if we were looking to have these items as part of a regular board meeting, we wouldn't really need to take action on separate advertising.
Correct. I think the only way we need to advertise if you want to change your start time because you're doing an extra hour, we probably need to update our advertising for the.
Okay.
Just think I'll table it and take action next month.
Yeah, well, actually, I was thinking I'd like to make a motion to allow for a long-term strategic plan discussions to be incorporated into subsequent board of supervisor meetings.
I don't know that you need a motion for that.
I took a motion for the table, I'm taking a motion for this, just so that we have it on the record.
Well, then I'm gonna second
All
it.
right.
Yeah, there you are.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Darren Essen. Any other discussion on this? All's in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries.
I mean, I will say, you know, if that's the case, we may want to consider an earlier start time on the meeting, like a 6 o'clock start time. So we're not, depending on how much time you're planning on allotting for that conversation, whether it's an hour or a half hour or what. So something to just think about.
Understood. Thank you. Okay, on to item E, the escrow release number 5. Mr. Hoodman, you want to give some background?
Sure, the developer of the Salem Farm 2 development has submitted escrow release request number 5. It's in the amount of $33,500. Salem Farm 2 is a 6-lot subdivision. 5 of the lots have been built and occupied. The last lot is lot 6, which is kind of over the hill toward the stream. And with that driveway was a substantial retaining wall, which was indicated on the approved plan. And this $33,500 is for that retaining wall. It has been built and inspected. If the board approves this escrow release request, there will still be $126,757 remaining in escrow to finish any of the required improvements.
What's the plan for paving the road, pre-paving the road? Do you have any idea when he's intending on doing
I
that?
suspect that when they finish that lot 6 and install the driveway, that they're going to immediately turn their attention to completing the road work, and that would be any kind of curb repair, mill and overlay the road. I think there's a little bit of sidewalk installation down by Bethel Road that needs to be done, but primarily what's left is the mill and overlay for the project.
Do we think that's gonna happen soon? Like, we're not doing that in like November, right? I mean,
No,
he needs to be within the paving thresholds for
Yes.
PennDOT.
Yes, I would suspect August, September timeframe.
Okay.
Any other discussion from the board?
I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Mr. Human. All right, I can make a motion to release escrow number 5 for the Serum 2 development in the amount of $32,500.
Second.
Any discussion from the public on this? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize to release the existing letter of credit for the Garden Point project upon receipt and verification of an acceptable surety bond substitute for improvement security. Mr. Magrin, can you?
Yeah,
give some
so
context?
the developer on Garnet Point, formerly Bethel Ridge, posted letter of credit as their improvement security. And they've asked to release that, and they have provided us with a bond for the remainder of the outstanding improvement escrow. It's something that's permitted under the municipality's planning code. But procedurally, I think we need action from you folks just to authorize the release of that letter of credit. Concurrent with that, I drafted an update to the improvement security agreement that they've executed that's awaiting the chair's execution after this action.
Thank you.
I will second this. So motion made by Supervisor Derrenessian, seconded by myself. Any discussion, further discussion from the board on this? From the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve climate control to replace the broken air conditioner and heating unit in the main room of the EMS building for an amount not to exceed $2,290.10. Just a little other information. There are 3 units in the EMS building. One was recently replaced. But this one is over 20 years old and can be kind of just plugged back into the new one can be plugged back into the spot where the old one was.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Supervisor Derrenessian and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. Any discussion from the board on this? From the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. On to announcements.
Thank you. So the annual 4th of July fireworks we held on Thursday, July 3rd at Bethel Springs Elementary School. The rain date is Saturday, June 5th.
July 5th.
Oh, sorry, July 5th. That already happened. And then Bethel Township's e-recycling event is scheduled for Saturday, June 14th. That's this Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. behind the Myers Building. And that event used to be 3 hours long, but it's only 2 hours long. So at 11 o'clock, we're out of here.
Or if the dumpsters get full,
Yes, awesome event.
which has happened before, so come early.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Is there any other comment from the public? Okay, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, meeting adjourned.